Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something that is just absolutely staggering, the unprecedented scale of modern tech wealth. We are literally going to climb the ladder of the world's top 5 richest people. It's this wild journey through hardware, e-commerce, search engines, and even space exploration. And we're going to unpack exactly how these titans minted their world-altering fortunes. But right before we really get going, I want you to think about a massive, historic milestone that was broken just a few weeks ago. Take a second. Think about all the apps, the websites, and the physical devices you interact with every single day. Can you guess who finally broke that barrier and took the ultimate top spot? Now, just to make sure we're getting a perfectly accurate picture here, we're tracking real-time, minute-by-minute billionaire data captured exactly on July 4th, 2026. You know, the stock market moves incredibly fast, and these valuations literally shift by the second. So this is a dynamic look at the ultimate 3-comma club and the crazy strategic moves that keep them at the absolute peak of global finance. Starting us off at number 5, we have Michael Dell, the hardware pioneer. And our baseline for this countdown, a staggering $220.7 billion. It's honestly wild to think that's the bottom of our top 5 today. And it really begs the question, how exactly did a computer hardware pioneer amass this kind of modern-era wealth? Well, it definitely wasn't just by selling laptops. Michael Dell navigated this incredibly complex financial restructuring over the span of a decade, and it's basically a masterclass in corporate maneuvering. By taking Dell private back in 2013, he shielded the company from Wall Street's short-term demands. That allowed him to quietly engineer a massive $60 billion merger with EMC in 2016. When he finally brought the combined entity back to the public markets in 2018, its value had completely transformed. But the real masterstroke, the thing that cemented his current wealth, was spinning off the software subsidiary VMware in 2021. That single strategic decision led to a massive windfall in 2023, where 39% of a $69 billion sale to Broadcom went straight into his pocket. Here's the twist, though. While his name is forever linked to the personal computer, much of his fortune today actually lies completely outside of tech. All that cash from those massive corporate deals is managed by his private investment firm, DFO Management. He's heavily diversified his wealth into completely unrelated cash-flowing assets. Think luxury hotel stakes and liquid corporate credit. Moving right along to number 4, it's Jeff Bezos, the e-commerce king. Sitting at a real-time net worth of $252.6 billion, his wealth is fueled directly by the very e-commerce giant that completely revolutionized modern retail. I mean, it's a platform pretty much all of us rely on weekly, if not daily. It's almost unbelievable to think he built this entire empire from a humble Seattle garage back in 1994. And even after stepping down as CEO to become executive chairman in 2021, he still holds on to a massive 8% stake in Amazon. But what makes his portfolio so fascinating today is the dramatic shift from earthbound retail to literal space. His wealth funds his aerospace company Blue Origin, which he actually flew to space in back in 2021. Throw in his ownership of the Washington Post, and his influence spans from global logistics all the way to the outer atmosphere. But here is some absolutely crucial context. His net worth actually used to be even higher. Following his divorce in 2019, after 25 years of marriage, Bezos transferred a quarter of his then 16% Amazon stake to his wife Mackenzie. Just think about the sheer scale of that for a second. Even after dividing that astronomical fortune and handing over tens of billions of dollars in equity, he comfortably remains the 4th richest person on Earth. Cracking the top 3 now, we have the search engine duo, going from Stanford PhDs to Alphabet controllers. Coming in at number 3 is Sergey Brin, sitting on a formidable fortune of $270.6 billion. And is barely edging him out in a very tight race for the number 2 spot is his co-founder, Larry Page, with $293.4 billion. Now, their paths to this unimaginable wealth are deeply intertwined, but their personal backgrounds couldn't be more distinct. Page is the technical architect, right? He's the inventor of the famous PageRank algorithm that originally powered Google. He naturally took on the CEO roles early on, and then again when the parent company Alphabet was formed in 2015. Brin, meanwhile, has this remarkable origin story. Fleeing anti-Semitism in Russia, he immigrated to the US at age 6 and eventually served as president of Alphabet. But here's the dynamic that binds their wealth so tightly today. Even though they both stepped away from their daily executive roles in 2019, They engineered a corporate structure where they uniquely share power as board members. They remain the ultimate controlling shareholders of Alphabet. All right, here we are. Number 1, Elon Musk, breaking the trillion-dollar barrier. So as of our July 4th, 2026 snapshot, Elon Musk's real-time net worth slightly fluctuated, settling at $997.1 billion on this specific day. But listen, don't let this slight dip, just under $1 trillion, fool you. This number hides a massive, historical financial event that had just occurred. That's right, exactly as we teased at the very beginning of this explainer, Musk shattered the ultimate financial ceiling on June 12th, officially becoming the world's very first trillionaire. It's a milestone that completely redefines the upper limits of personal wealth. The absolute catalyst for this record-breaking moment was the highly anticipated public offering of his rocket maker, SpaceX. When it finally opened for trading, the market went wild, and the company was valued at nearly $2 trillion. This instantly pushed Musk's 38% ownership stake, which strategically includes his massive options packages, by the way, right into the stratosphere, carrying his personal wealth past the $1 trillion mark for the first time in human history. To really wrap our heads around how he achieved this, we have to look at the stunningly complex corporate strategy he engineered across his companies. He didn't just build a rocket company, he built a massive ecosystem of value. Just look at the moves leading up to the IPO. He bought Twitter in 2022, effectively securing a massive real-time data engine. In 2025, he merged Twitter into his artificial intelligence startup xAI, creating a powerhouse trained on global human conversation. Then, in early 2026, he orchestrated SpaceX acquiring xAI in a deal that valued the combined entity at $1.25 trillion. By fusing cutting-edge AI software with unparalleled space hardware, he created a totally irresistible narrative for investors. All of the strategic groundwork was deliberately laid just months before taking SpaceX public, completely maximizing its valuation. And beyond the newly public SpaceX, this historic fortune remains highly diversified across multiple future-facing industries. I mean, he still owns nearly 11% of Tesla, which he's led as CEO since 2008, with another potential 8% hovering in unvested stock from a massive 2018 performance award. Add to that his stakes in boundary-pushing startups like the tunneling enterprise The Boring Company and the brain implant outfit Neuralink. His portfolio isn't just about selling consumer goods. It is entirely rooted in turning science fiction into reality. Before we wrap this up, we have to look at the other side of the coin, giving it all away, the philanthropy of these titans. What actually happens to all this money? Well, these unprecedented fortunes are slowly being pledged back to society in some pretty monumental ways. Michael Dell and his wife made an incredible move in 2025, committing $6.25 billion to fund $250 seed investment accounts for 25 million U.S. children, aiming to build generational wealth right from the ground up. Jeff Bezos pledged $10 million to climate causes through his Earth Fund back in 2020, having granted $2 billion of that so far, and he's publicly stated his intention to give away the majority of his wealth in his lifetime. Meanwhile, Sergey Brin has quietly donated more than $2 billion to Parkinson's research, heavily focusing his charitable giving on central nervous system conditions and climate change. And that leaves us with a final, pretty fascinating thought to ponder as we close out this explainer. When we look back at this totally unique era of unimaginable wealth accumulation, will history remember these innovators primarily for the iconic algorithms, rockets, and products they built? Or will their true, lasting legacy be defined by the monumental, world-changing impact of their philanthropy? Think about it. We'll catch you in the next one.